Whew. Welcome everybody back to the Villainous Lair. Here we are. Because we stopped in the middle of the action last time. And there's no mechanical reason why that was a conclusion. There's no way in Champions to say, and that's the end of the encounter.
Right.
Right. So therefore, just the fact that one character relocated and the fact that at least one of the other characters present has a mental, if not a lock, at least a very easy scan to find him. It's one of those instances, Santiago, where scanning for Cortex is way different from trying to find Ruiz or Torment in the middle of a city, or Man of War in the middle of a city. This is very different. You're in a much more deserted area. You have a very focused area to scan on. You were just in mental contact with the character already. It's cake. He's right there. That's not a problem. So I just want to let you know that you guys are very much still in the turn sequence, and that it's not it's absolutely not difficult to communicate with one another and try and get some idea of what's going on. As I recall, it's been a long time, so help me remember. In terms of the raw action, Santiago earlier had Brian try to crunch in through the roof of the Amy Biota building, only to discover that it was a pretty savage, it was a pretty serious roof. It wasn't like those little tin roofs back in the storage place where you guys found Man of War. So that was one thing. But after that, you gave up dealing with the roof and tried to deal with Cortex directly. To clarify what Cortex was doing, when he Presence drained his brother, Finn, and then grabbed him. Drain. What was that? Oh, was it the intelligence drain? Yes, that's right. It was both. Yeah.
Got hit by war.
Oh, great. So yeah, you got your intelligence drained and your presence drained. Basically, your classic. I am your classic Ken doll. Yeah. And so then you also have this grab that he did, and just because Rod made the face at me, I want to emphasize that his D-Solid only works against others, and that it was visibly apparent through special effects that it was a weird telepathic extension of his arm that, vapored out and, grabbed Finn in a giant hand and is not actually Cortex going D-Solid. But it made Finn D-Solid.
Right.
Which made it hard for... Now, he did shrug off the hand eventually, but still was easily verbally, told to join Cortex. And so I just wanted to clarify that before I get another whine fest about D-Solid, as if any such thing had ever happened. So, I'm actually kind of kidding on that one because I am channeling past Champions and the fact that D-Solid was the most aggravating thing in history. So we have now the situation where Cortex, having gathered Finn to his brotherly bosom, then did his same teleport that he used to get down. You have not really seen Cortex walk very functionally yet.
Right.
And remember, he's all kind of spindly and, huddled and kind of misshapen looking. And so you really haven't seen him operate physically in any way except to do something that was, like the hand grab. He sort of gestured feebly with his hand when he did that. So you guys kind of
not to get hit by Brian, but zooming at him. But apart from that,
he did do that, and it's because he does indeed have a DCV, and it was hard to hit him. But that was the way I played that, though, was much less of an athletic dodge than basically, oh, I see you coming with my mind, and I just do this sort of thing.
Right.
The other thing to know, therefore, is that as I recall, we have Michael, who was present and had actually exchanged a few. What did Michael do in the fight? I'm trying to remember. Because you showed up through your long distance teleport.
I honestly do not remember that.
You were on your way to meet us before we got tapped.
Right.
On your flying scarab.
Right.
Brian then broadcast the fight to the wide world of the internet.
Correct.
Which I believe was right.
We decided, through a process I can't remember what it was, we decided you got the message as well, while in flight.
I believe it was a luck roll.
Yes, there was a lucky roll. Yeah.
And then you teleported to the site, but I think you only got there towards the tail end. I don't remember.
I don't remember actually doing anything.
I don't think you did either. Maybe I didn't. Yeah.
I remember tossing my phone at him, and when I flew to try to hit
Cortex right.
that you guys told me that it was better not to go like this, but like this.
Right. But even so, and you missed by that much. 2 points. So.
And I used the free action of talking to say something to him, like from the shoulder. I don't know how you say it in English.
Yes.
But
over the shoulder.
But yes, thank you. So over the shoulder. So I think it was about I don't know. I asked him to do something, but I have forgotten.
Probably just to keep filming. Probably just to keep filming or something like that. So,
no, it was something related to powers, but
that's fine.
It didn't happen at the end.
Right. Okay. So we have this, but the situation, therefore, is Michael and Brian. As I believe Brian actually had to do acrobatics to recover or something like that from the missed move by. But whatever it is, you didn't run. As I recall, you didn't actually run into any walls this time.
No. So, I'm getting better.
Right.
I remember Michael saying, "Where is he? Use your powers, Brian."
Right.
I played Brian as being so pissed that he just flew off to the place where he had crashed into the roof, thinking Cortex would be there.
And I'm going to say that as far as knowing where he is so easy that it's not even worth a roll. You already made a roll to do that earlier. Cortex as a psychic presence is no small entity. It just seems to we'll just run with that already established phenomenon.
Right.
I'm not going to say you'll be able to find Cortex wherever he is for the rest of your life, but for right now. Okay. All right. Now I want to do one thing first. A quick dialogue between Brian and Michael.
Okay.
And to establish, I hope, Santiago, it's okay to say that Brian is at least able to whoosh back and go to Michael, and you guys can at least be looking at each other saying, all right, what are we going to do? What's happening?
All right. Perfect. So I fly out, then I fly back, and I say, I can't think, man. What do we do? He's going to kill Finn.
Just lead me to him, and I'll separate them.
All right. So I grab him with my foot claws, and I fly towards Cortex.
Let's cut to Ross and Finn.
Okay.
And see what he sees, because you're. Oh, and also, I believe all that last part, that grab and teleport, happened on segment 12, I believe.
That is possible.
That would give him a recover.
That's right. And that includes presence and intelligence.
Ooh, okay, that sounds good. So, what amount?
Well, but it's your recovery.
Same as recovery. Okay, that sounds good.
So, therefore, we now find ourselves with Finn, who is in a room that is curiously unfamiliar in its architecture to you. It is an oval, but the oval itself includes the floor and the ceiling. So it's really like the inside of a plastic Easter egg.
Okay.
And the openings into the room are placed oddly. One is actually, it's kind of like the cardiac and the pyloric sphincters of the stomach. You know, they're one coming in here and one coming up from below on opposite ends. And somebody has rebuilt or added to it in order to provide a flat floor and some kind of stair or handrail or something to facilitate getting in and out at the exits. And so those have clearly been built in. And are made of ordinary substances, you know, probably aluminum, cheap, you know, functional substances. The substance of the room itself, the walls, if you want to call them walls, they're not really walls. It's the surface of the, you know, of the room, is much different. It is a gleaming plasticine metal of some kind. It is really, really not a familiar substance to you at all.
This is neat. I kind of want to not rescue Finn and just see what happens.
Thank you ever so much.
Well,
and
getting inside this thing could be.
And so it's really not that big. The entire, let's see, the entire structure is 6 inches, so that's going to be about 8 meters. Yeah, the oval you're in right now is its width. In other words, its short width is about 25 feet, about 8 meters.
Okay.
And it is shockingly enough 4 hexes. And it's sort of a chubby oval. It's not a classic oval, and so therefore, instead of being 8 hexes long in the long axis, it's more like 6.
Okay.
So, and that is the floor. You know, somebody has built a platform that serves as a floor, and at that place is what appears to be a relatively recent setup of fluids. And when I say a setup, it's kind of like, you know, those metal rack tables that you have in science labs where you can kind of roll it into place, and there's a waist-high shelf where you can work, like a bench. And then there's also one about eye level, which you have stuff on. Okay. Set onto the bench are some tubes and big, heavy glass containers with the tubes stuck in their sides. And there's connections. And up above is a variety of useful devices that involve administering substances into a human body in various ways. There's an organization to the... Good. Right. Somebody stuck an OSHA sticker on the side of the metal rack, and it all looks very organized, and there's, you know, a little clean surface there, and the cleaning equipment is set in a little bucket hanging off the side and everything like that.
Hey, what sticker?
OSHA. This is the organization that handles safety in all working environments.
Oh. Yeah, it's a really memorable sort of little diamond with 4 different colors in it that tell you the different hazard levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Different hazard levels.
Yeah, it's so universal for all working spaces in the U.S. And OSHA compliance is very, very important, and it's a really good way to go out of business or come under legal action in a heartbeat if you're not compliant. So.
And I'm sure this thing is entirely safe.
Exactly.
I don't want to go near it.
Read the sticker.
That's right. And so, and your brother is there, and he, somebody has put it's a little bit better than just a foam rubber rectangle, but not much. It's almost as though someone took a fairly heavy grade pad of that kind and zipped a cover around it and threw it down. And it doesn't look lived in. It's not like there's stuff rumpled around it or anything like that, but there's one just lying there. Mm-hmm. And the minute he gets in, he goes and he lies down on it. And just lies down. But he's conscious and he's looking at you. And he says, well, we're together. At least now both of us will have some kind of protection.
What have they done to you, Liam?
I'm
sorry.
He kind of almost looks at you sort of baffled. I mean, he's almost unable to answer. Mm-hmm. But he says, they put them in my head. There's people in my head. And make an intelligence roll.
Okay.
What is your intelligence? Is it back to proper size at this point?
My intelligence is currently 9.
Okay, so that's an 11 or less.
I got 9.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. This is what happens to the other biohack. Finn, what do you want to do?
Liam, we've got to get out of here. You can't stay here. Maybe we can help. Maybe we can help you and fix you.
He says, no, you keep them from doing anything else to me. Maybe you can work on some way to help me. And I can help you. I'm powerful now. I'm really powerful. They're going to find you. I mean, they're just going to hunt you down. They know who you are now. They're just going to hunt you down. You've got that stuff in you. They told me. And he glances over toward the fluids. He says, you're Crawl. Not like he's realizing it, but like someone told him a little while ago, and now he's like looking at you kind of accusingly. He says, my little brother is Crawl. And he's almost like, first he's kind of like accusing, and he's also kind of like, that's so awesome. Which is weird, because he's all like mutated and horrible and stuff like that, you know, while he's telling you this.
Where are we? This place is weird.
He says, we're in the Amy Biota building, but I don't think this started as a building. I'm not really sure. But everywhere they take me, everywhere that I go, where I live, it's like this. It's like pieces in here. They use it as some kind of lab. They've set this part up for you.
How nice of them. We're not staying. We're leaving. And they can come after me as much as they want, but I'm going to keep them away from and I am going to the down exit seems as good a place as any to start looking to see if we can get.
So let's see what Brian and Michael do now.
So, where is Cortex?
Well, there is that building that I described, which was the fairly remember, it was the boring building.
Yeah,
in this little complex.
The one where I crashed
into the roof. Yes, but it wasn't very effective. And as I recall, and he is inside there, and you know the approximate location, like this quadrant of the building, this high off the ground, kind of area. But you don't telepathically see into it and see the room mentally. You don't do that. You don't have that power. Strangely enough. Okay. So instead of talking to me, why don't you guys talk to each other?
Okay.
All right. So I decelerate a bit and I point to the building, towards the building, and say to Michael, "Look, it's there.
Right.
They're there again. Whatever we do, we can go through the roof, man."
Right. Well, first, I'll summon my mirror and find where they are. Which I do. X-ray, awesome. X-ray, in-ray, whatever you want. I've got 48 points.
Good. Well,
and I forget how the enhanced senses work.
Okay. This is going to be therefore on segment 3. Both of you act on segment 3, and
I have to make a roll.
Well, yes, technically you're in combat, so I guess so. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. So his mystic mirror appears, and you can look and you see the room as I described it, and you quickly realize that it does not look the same on the inside as it does on the outside. And I'll tell you later that the entire structure in which Finn is residing at the moment is smaller than the building. The building has actually been built as not entirely a dummy, but a fair amount of it is not actually the building that you're looking at. It's just housing this thing. But you don't know if you can actually, given, I kind of like this. You're holding the mirror up, like a big flat thing, and all you have to do is like tilt it and do this and stuff like that, and you can like see into different like parts of the the building, right? And you can see that it is so I'll tell you, it is a structure in this building which is about 100 feet across, about 32 meters.
Okay.
And it is circular, and its bottom edge, it's got a flat bottom. Okay. Circular with a flat bottom, and its bottom edge, where it touches the ground at the edge all the way around, is beveled, which means there's an angle that slants up a little bit all the way around. And then, so it slants up, and then it slants upward like that, centrally, almost to the top, where there's a round thing.
So Michael says, at the risk of sounding conspiratorial, I think there's a flying saucer in there.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, you can see in the mirror too. I'll give it to him that you can see in the mirror too as a special effect. He's like, both of you are like looking at each other. But you do know that this research and stuff dates directly back to the late 1940s and the 1950s, right? And that was right. So it all right. So
Cue X-Files team.
A little bit, except the X-Files always tried to be too cool. We're talking about something that looks like
a flying
it's a fucking flying saucer. Yeah. And so I decided to kind of go with the decade there.
Nice.
So, and it's made of a black, a green color. The color is so green, so dark that it's almost black and metallic.
Gotcha.
That's Whereas inside Finn, what you guys see, it's mostly white with a greenish tinge, very very pale green. H.R. Giger did the insides.
Understood.
So I say to Michael, can you see Finn? Is he all right? Did the other guy absorb him?
Yeah, no,
Fair? Well, no, I'm saying fair question, actually. I mean, of all the things that could have happened, right?
Well, did you say earlier that I did see Finn?
Yes, where you looked was where Finn is. You see that room, you see him and Liam in there.
I understand that Liam is Cortex, so he actually looks like Cortex, right?
Yes.
He's not, okay. But he's still recognizable as Liam?
If you knew Liam, yes.
If I knew Liam.
Yes, I already said that on the feed, remember?
That's right, yeah. Right. Yeah, you had already realized that and you had already broadcast it to the world.
Okay, so yes. we knew. All right. So I'll say he's in there, he's safe. He's just talking to Liam.
Oh, I stopped in there.
But
can we eavesdrop on them? Maybe give them a little time to talk?
Does seem like contrary propositions, but yes, we could eavesdrop on them.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I don't want to make that thing mad. Maybe Finn can turn him.
Oh, let's just eavesdrop on.
Okay. So yes, listening to them, it's what he meant, I think. So let's take a look at what they say. We've already listened to them a little bit, so you can catch most of that conversation.
Okay.
And at this time is also also if you guys are going to stop and nobody's fighting and the timing is no longer an issue, we can actually call the combat closed at this time.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If you're...
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that context, everybody can recover up to their normal rates.
Right. Yeah.
Except unless they've taken body damage, in which case that won't go away.
Okay.
No.
So.
Good endurance.
Mm-hmm. So now you guys are, just to point out, you guys are not exactly inconspicuous at this time.
Right.
And you have been, and so there should be. It's only been a few seconds, but some sort of rapid response to your current activities is reasonable to expect.
Right.
Well, I use stealth to find me
all that
Michael.
Is. Oh no, all that is true. Oh right, you mean right now?
You probably ought to
make a roll for that.
Right. Yes, he does. Yeah, he does have. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
We need to find a safe place where we can listen in and see.
And not be shot at least immediately. Right.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3d6, right?
Correct.
Then 13.
13 is good. You have a 13 or less on your stealth based on your dexterity, so you're fine. And so that's good. Brian, again, showing all manner of cunning training, secretes you guys into a surprisingly unmonitorable spot in this set of buildings. I think amusingly, it's going to actually be on top of that nice, fancy administrative lobby building that I described. Right. So it's like who would want to put any surveillance cameras there?
Right.
There's nothing important there. So it's and also I think
Michael,
I like that.
Do you still have my... Oh, sorry.
No, Santiago.
Oh, Michael, do you still have my phone?
Yeah.
All right. So I grab it and I start to log in again and wherever, and I tell Michael, can you set this up so we can show everyone what they're talking about?
My powers don't interact too well with technology. It's just something I privately decided, based on the
legal status of that interaction is currently in question.
Right.
It's right.
But I think if you point the phone...
Mystically, interdimensionally speaking. Right.
Well.
But if you point the phone at the mirror, there's some chance. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, what do you say if we... Let's just do... What do you say, Michael? I mean, you're the lawyer guy. What do you say if we don't... This time we don't broadcast, we just tape it, just in case it comes handy afterwards?
I think we're well out of the territory covered by existing law, so all bets are off. I should do whatever is the most impact in terms of our mission, which means we need to know what our mission is.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Why did you and Finn come here in the first place? Comes to mind.
All right. So, I scratched my head. Well, I thought we were going to bring Finn's brother with us to that place with Father Ochoa and how was the name?
Man of War.
Man of War.
Well, that's a good idea, but listening to him talk, it's no guarantee that he wants to go. I think at the bare minimum, we have to get in there and rendezvous with Finn and Liam before we can figure out how to proceed further.
All right. Let's then take a moment, because people are coming in to speak with Finn and Liam. And they are the person who comes in is a young man, and he has a person with him whom you spot, because you can spot an undergraduate, culturally speaking, from a mile away. That's one of Finn's skills, to look across a football field and be able to count how many, football stadium, and count how many college students are in there.
Yeah.
And so everything about them speaks like graduate student and undergrad.
Okay.
And they're both wearing lab coats. They're both wearing actually, they're not wearing like biohazard suits, but they are wearing a fair amount of protective gear, particularly covering their hair, particularly covering their feet and shoes. They're putting on their gloves as they come in. Always a good sign when the scientific person comes in putting on their gloves. And
especially the student,
yeah. And so the graduate student person, as that's sort of what they look like to you, looks back and forth between the two of you, kind of swallows hard and says, welcome, Crawl. I'd like to welcome you to Amy Biota. We can help you here, and we can bring you and your brother into... and he loses his train of thought and then flips on a piece of paper and starts looking up what he's supposed to say.
I have one piece of advice for you. You need a new job. Get out of here now.
Presence attack. With a fairly recovered presence, if I'm not mistaken. If not...
yeah, my presence is up to 15 again. Do you want me to add anything or take anything off that?
I believe yes. I believe that you are.
Excellent soliloquy.
I think so too. That's going to have 2 dice for the soliloquy. You do have a reputation. He knows exactly who you are. And he's also... I don't see any violence or powers use.
Let's give him a little bit of a break.
So go ahead and roll.
And that was a total of 20.
20. Oh, well.
Yeah.
They flee.
Good. I hope they're reconsidering their life choices.
That's right. The subject will deeply consider what the speaker says. Is what it says. The flee in disarray they don't do, but they kind of reassess their lives and go back to go somewhere else. Yeah.
Left the oven on.
Mm-hmm. And Cortex, puts his hand up to his swollen head and snarls, "Be quiet, be quiet."
We'd better get in there, Brian.
Mm-hmm. And I also would like to point out that that it's about time for Finn to take some damage. Get some dice here. From his dependency.
Fair enough.
Oh shoot, it's only 8 points of stun.
Which doesn't recover. So.
Correct. So, now of course you have the solution to that. You have the solution to that dependency right there. Well, you didn't mix it yourself.
Yes. No.
So
we're not doing that. Although,
so whether you want to trust Amy Biota's version of the precious fluids is a good question.
Amy Biota, who also provided Scorpion with unpleasant chemicals that had a less than pleasant effect on me. I don't think I'm trusting anything they're creating.
Right.
But I should probably have a look at what's on this horrible looking troll. See what Excellent. It is, and if I can. As long as it doesn't involve getting too close to things that we suddenly.
Yes, well, you're also susceptible. I was going to say you're also susceptible to them, so we may have to play with that a little bit. And so.
I'd like to answer to Michael.
Oh yes.
That he just said we should go in. So Brian says, because we're looking at the guy going, all right, what's our entry point?
All right, quick question, just need a yes or no. Can I tunnel into the flying saucer? Using the Anubis thingy.
Tunneling does deal with the resistance and strength of the item. It's harder to tunnel through tough things. So it's in terms, there's that whole can I question, which causes a little bit of trouble. I think in terms of inches of tunneling, right, the distance you can tunnel, that is eligible.
Right. All right.
That's eligible. That's
conceptually does it even?
Right. Conceptually, you're like, I could go there. That works.
Oh, okay.
It has that whole lovely thing we've got going on, like completely different sorts of technologies and super things and
yeah.
I'm fond of that.
I think that would be my first shot, is to say Anubis will take us there.
Okay.
Awesome. All I want to make is more complicated, but this sounds like an awfully good opportunity to pick up on what you were talking about in the last session.
Yes.
You mean I should push the?
Well, I don't know how it works, but it feels like this is where.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of
disadvantage.
As it stands, it's kind of on my. It's kind of on my initiative whether that happens or not, just because I have to be pushing, and I'm not. Well, we'll. Hard this saucer is to get into, and maybe I will have to push to get into it. But for now, I'm just going to throw 45 points in tunneling. So not pushing yet.
Right. Tell me a little bit more about. One thing. Both of you, Brian and Michael, should make intelligence rolls one more time.
I succeed.
10.
You succeed as well. Both of you saw one disturbing look on Finn's face when he looked at all those chemicals. He is addicted to that stuff. Mm-hmm. So he did give one, very, very distressing glance of somewhat
like,
yeah. Ooh,
it's my birthday.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta look out. I'm not saying that he's like, totally overcome or anything, but depends on what happens. An ego roll may be involved at some point.
Right.
Well, all that said, you're going to kick off the tunneling. And so this is going to be segment 12.
Okay.
Ooh, sorry. Ooh. And
so I'm paying for it on segment 12?
Say again, please?
So I'm paying for it on segment 12 and then recovering.
Exactly correct. And so if
it'll be a net one.
Okay. So
guys, give me a minute.
Oh, okay. I was going to see if you and Santiago could actually work together so that if you timed your tunneling so that he actually was able to do a move through at the same time that the tunneling hits, doing its damage, he does a move through, and that actually, tell you the truth, probably is the only way this is going to work. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, sounds like a good opportunity to try out whatever helping rules we have.
Well, if we're both on 12, and he just has to delay his action until after.
Correct. The timing of it's not a problem. Exactly. This is actually, technically, tunneling is usually not used as an attack. In this case, moving through can be treated in terms of timing as an attack. So you guys are making a, wait for it, coordinated attack.
Okay. Is that the rule? It's just an emergent property of the... Okay.
Well, you have to time it so that they strike at the same time. And there is... And it's a maneuver in Champions 2, and I have turned it into a formal maneuver and rewritten it so that it works.
Okay.
And so you're each going to take a -1 OCV, but that's not a problem because it's not a foe.
Okay. So the plan is we're gonna travel there through the underworld, and you're gonna be flying through the underworld, so that when we get to the bottom of the sir, we'll hit it at the same, like you will hit it, and Anubis will
open it,
try to wrench it apart with his hand. So we'll get through the resistance of this saucer bottom.
Right. So I am going to have you guys make rolls,
Gotcha.
and they'll be at a minus. So it'll be it's against a DCV 3. Your OCV will be -1. For you, it's going to be just your basic offensive combat value for Michael. So that's going to be that's a 7, I believe.
It's 8 now since I added it.
So 8 against 3 is 16 or less, but it's -1 because it's a coordinated attack, so it's 15 or less.
Okay.
For Brian, it's not much different. The move through actually has a reduced roll, a reduced chance to hit, but on the other hand, you're hitting a hex, right? You're hitting an area. So that's going to be, again, actually a very similar roll, 16 or less. You're going to be bumped down to about a 12 or less. Okay, so you ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
Roll. 15 or less for Michael, 12 or less for Brian.
That's...
Eight.
Excellent. All right. Well, in that case, you guys will be coming up. I presume you're going to be coming up straight into the area that Finn was in, right?
Right.
You're aiming at that spot.
That's our preference. Oh, look at that.
See the room where it's called communal quarters?
Yes.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
All right.
And the way that I'm saying it is that all of those little bulbs, those bulbous rooms on the inside, they're not all on the same level.
Okay.
Right, so they're all at various different relative heights to one another, because that's just cool.
All right.
So, I think we have described enough, and sure enough, I'm going to have Brian roll for the... how are we going to do this? Roll for... you hit... Yeah. I'm going to... I just really just want some body here. So I want you to roll for... add 2d6 for the claws, and add... it's the speed 5. Okay, yeah, it's 8 dice for the strike. So 8 dice as well. And really, don't count... Wait, yes, 10 dice and just count the body. This thing doesn't have stun. We don't care how much stun you do. The stun, that's the size of the sound effect.
Right.
Now let's not forget the Anubis part. You basically open up a portal like right where you are, right? And then you guys basically get taken down in the boat, in a kind of we have a trippy panel. And and your trippy panel is, I think you're like in the prow of the boat, like leaning forward. And Brian is like, building up the electric. Yeah, right. Okay, and then you come up, and then you're like, no, it's right.
And I assume he's going to do the damage, and then we're going to find out if the body has been reduced enough for me to.
Right. Because you're technically just traveling through X body.
Right.
If he brings the body down, then you can travel through.
Yeah. So teach me how to...
I love it when a rule comes together.
Every die is 1 unless it's a... Every die that rolls a 1 is 0. Every die that rolls a 6 is 2. Everything else is 1.
Alright, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total.
It's pretty good. And so, yes, the exterior, to double check slightly. Right. Okay. Well, you basically slam into it, and then you've reduced it enough that you don't actually breach it completely. But you do a considerable amount of damage to it, and then the tunneling will get, with 45 points of tunneling, is pretty good. So, I mean, you can get through metal walls, bulkheads with that. And so, therefore, you're through. But you don't break open the floor. You slam it hard and damage it, but it's the portal that actually opens in the floor, and these guys come out.
Rise up through it.
Right, and so, and yes, I would have to say that we have we have a pretty good scarab, and I'm going to say Silverbeak, but it's kind of an interesting question. Can I ask you something right now? I'd like your character to be maskless at the moment.
Maskless?
Right, or at least with your face covered in a very basic way. Just some kind of mask with no features on it at the moment.
All right, but I already broadcasted as Silverbeak.
I know. Okay. All right. Well, stay Silverbeak then. Whichever. So, all right. So, Silverbeak and Scarab have risen up, and Silverbeak is flying. Scarab is not. You're now standing on the floor, and Silverbeak is, in his what you walk, I fly. What's the difference? Kind of, kind of pose. And Finn and Cortex are there, what will you do? What will everyone do? What does everyone say?
Finn, we're here to rescue you?
I've seen that movie as well.
Question mark.
Yes, so Finn, obviously, pleased to see them, and a tentacle is also acquiring one of the bottles off the... Possibly hoping that...
That's hilarious. It's like...
I want to use telepathy, see what Finn's brother is thinking. He was grabbing his brain earlier.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. We should.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. Roll 3 dice.
$13.
13's probably not gonna hit Cortex's mind. You will discover now. Remember, Mind Scan had given you strange results before from him, and in this case, it's much clearer what that is. You are dealing with several different minds trapped into one spot. And that, at least, remember how the different plugs in his head would emit different screaming, vaporous humanoid forms? They, each one saying the code name of the different biohackers. Yeah. Somehow they actually merged brain tissue from them into his, and have created a multi-brained being. We now have quite a spectacle. Brian was role playing, or Santiago was role playing, and giving us Brian's reaction to this insight.
Yeah, I was like, there's more than one people in there. It's not just Liam. They're like 4 different persons in there.
I've been trying not to think about that.
They are there, but they are just merged together. I mean, it's
and Liam kind of makes a face and like almost like tries to turn on his side, makes a face and says, "And they try to get out."
Well, can they physically get out?
He is not about to go into a technical discussion with you.
I would like.
So immediately, can you separate them into different bodies?
Let's worry about that later, Brian.
Michael, wait! I want to hear what Rod has to say.
Well, what I think I'm gonna go ahead and I think take action and whip out the old ego defense beetle, and pop. Boy, is ego defense the appropriate thing here?
Probably not.
Is there any way? I would guess I would need telepathy to be able to distinguish Finn's mind from the other minds, and then some usable on others ego. Oh boy, here goes the points again.
Well, I was going to say, what you have in mind against what you've already observed, which was insanely powerful attacks modeled somewhat on the Doom Patrol's Negative Man, that your little VPP is probably not going to handle this.
Okay.
Right. That you've got 3 mini negative men zooming out of that guy's head when, each one effectively a personality and set of powers.
So it's not just
you'll notice that you'll notice he couldn't use them simultaneously.
Okay.
So we can be thankful for something.
But it's not just a question of him being mentally powerful enough to
correct
control him. Okay.
Because they grafted bits of brain into his head in a icky sort of way.
All right.
At some cost to the rest of his physiology too. I
have some fun.
Oh, and I'm certain that his own mental state is just fine.
Yes.
Right.
I will leave the points in tunneling, and I will say to Finn, we're not going to be safe unless we leave him here and try again later. I'd like you to come with us. Presence attack.
To Finn.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, look out. He got his presence attack back, so we will see.
Yeah.
Okay. Or got his presence back.
I think it's... Yeah.
Oh, especially with Liam saying, No, I've been searching for you everywhere. We have to be together.
Oh, no.
I can protect you from them. You can protect them from me. Even if we're here.
So that 2 presence
the dice.
I was going to say, it sounds like 2 presence attacks to me.
All right. That's fun. Was my speech impactful at all, Finn?
A bit.
Give you a die for that.
Yeah.
A bit, that's a die.
Does the tunneling... Is the tunneling still riding for a power display?
Yes. The tunnel. You definitely get a power display. So
is that one more die?
Yes, it is.
One more die. Okay. Well, this isn't much.
The crashing blow of of Silverbeak's strike on the bottom probably counts as well. So toss in another.
Toss in another die. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on 7 dice.
Oh, shitty roll.
Oh, neat. Well, not too bad. That's 23 over here.
I have 22.
Procedure?
God, I don't know. I've never read it right.
He deeply considers both sides?
He'll deeply consider both sides.
Oh, no, wait. You're back at present.
You need to know my presence between that.
Yeah. What?
15.
15, okay.
15, right. So you will...
He doesn't deeply consider both sides.
You will lose half of... You'll lose half a phase. And you will note, basically. You could do something that you were inclined to do anyways. So it's up to you to decide which way you were inclined or what you were inclined to do. Or instead of being overawed by either, you're in the position where you could actually come up with a compromise, and that would be you've been motivated to come up with a compromise equally. That would actually make a lot of sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm
not dictating that he does. He could choose one or the other, depending on how the way he thinks that his character is inclined. If he is inclined both ways, then he's not been overawed, so it's not like he has to do one or the other.
I'll come to Amiviota on alternate weekends, and Wednesday night we can...
The lawyer and the lawyer character in the room. Yeah. Right. Mediation. Right. You are only allowed to call her naughty words to your friends 3 times a week.
Right.
You are only allowed to lie about him to relatives 3 times a week.
Right. Well, okay, so we're pausing for Finn's momentous word balloon.
Yeah.
Finn kneels down next to Liam and says, Liam, we're never going to be safe here. And we're never going to be safe if we keep running. And we're only going to be safe when there's no Amy Biota or wherever the hell these guys are. And I don't know if it'll help, but maybe the voices, the things in your heads, at least if you turn them on them, you'll be letting them out, and maybe we can then help you. We've got to get these guys off our back first.
He says, "You'll take me with you?"
I'm not leaving you here. You're my brother. What would Mum and Dad say?
Mm-hmm. All right. So we have he says weakly as he's actually kind of losing consciousness slightly as you gather him in your tentacles. And he says, they think I'm in Hawaii.
Oh my god.
And they're expecting to see you for the holidays.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, how are you guys? While you two are over there weeping man tears, what are you going to do now?
All right. I would like Michael to have a reaction panel where he weeps one single man tear of his own.
Oh, all right. Good enough. Good enough.
But, well, it sounds like we're trashing the place.
Yeah.
All right. So, we're exit with extreme prejudice?
I think we go up. Because the guys who came in from the bottom, they're not worth our time.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Disappointed better than the map, but never mind.
Mm-hmm. Now, remember, right? Okay, funky gesture, and I'm gonna be real easy here. What's the most damage each of you can do? If you all want to just do a Fantastic Four bust out, where everybody just shatters, the thing that they're coming out of.
Without pushing 9 dice.
Mm-hmm. Right, but what would it be? Was the spear?
Energy blast, yeah.
Right.
Some kind of energy blast.
If you actually you would want it to be you would want it to be piercing.
Oh, okay. So that would well, if I put it on burnout, no, that doesn't work like that.
Right. We're talking about the active points, not the
Yeah.
Right.
Although
actually that's a little scary.
6 dice piercing might end up being. What's piercing?
Piercing, it means that the body.
No, I mean what is the actual?
Oh, it's 1. It's double.
Double.
Right.
So 5.
Right. What piercing does means that it will ignore the defense score, and
right.
That's a good thing for this thing.
So 4 dice piercing.
Yeah.
4.5 if we're doing. Half.
I know. I hate half die. Mm-hmm.
4 dice piercing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so, Finn.
Finn is not complicated. His most damage is just randomly hitting things. I'm just trying to work out whether a move through or a haymaker is more appropriate.
No, a haymaker, I think, does. Yeah, a haymaker will do it.
Well, I don't know. It depends a bit on. He's quite fast, but it doesn't really.
Right, but you're in an enclosed space. You can't really build up your thing. Now, Brian could build up his speed by doing incredibly tight turns, which will take an acrobatics roll. Mm-hmm. So he actually is capable of building up a full speed zoom by weaving, which is and that's what I figured what he did on the tunneling as well. Was able to do like a spiral, through the tunnel to get up the maximum move. Here you'll have to turn a really, really tight whoosh to do it, but it's the same attack as before. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
Quick question: when I've got a 1.5 times strength damage, is that I'll roll my damage and then roll my strength and then add a half, or do you want me to add half extra dice?
Do it with the dice.
So,
I've actually, for a beta, I've removed the haymaker. It's a pain in the ass, and just replaced it.
I have no idea how you would do one in combat and make it make sense.
Well, no, because you have to wait a whole fucking segment. Everybody's going to get out of the way. It's completely ridiculous, and so. Basically, the effects they want is completely covered by pushing.
That's sweet. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that bit.
Yeah.
So to me, it's 10 dice again, right?
Yep.
Do I have first to make the acrobatics roll you mentioned?
No.
All right.
Oh, well, yeah, you do. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
I could push and spend extra endurance to have an extra couple of dice.
That's correct.
Let's do that.
And grow too. Don't forget growing.
I've already grown. 9 dice plus another 4 dice plus another 2 dice for
He's having fun over there.
That sounds like it's going to cover a lot.
I got an 11 for acrobatics. So it's fine, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, everybody roll their damage. Without a time factor in here, I'm not even going to call for a coordinated attack roll. This is pretty straightforward.
Gotcha.
You're hitting a wall, for Christ's sake. Or a ceiling, anyway.
Loads of walls.
Ooh, 4 piercing body.
Yep. Ooh. Count the body, everybody. No, Ross is... That's the massive handful of champions dice and some escape,
This is the payoff right there.
Yeah. Somehow, calculating all those points doesn't seem so bad when it turns into a handful of 16 dice. It's like, I think I'm gonna go spend some more points. This is kind of fun. It's just body. Don't count stun.
Yep.
10.
Ooh, nice roll. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 sixes
18.
and 6 of the other.
18 body. 10 plus 18 plus 4 body.
That's 32.
I think you just obliterated and irreparably blew open the flying saucer and the outlying wall.
Nice.
So you guys have a pretty fucking awesome image of the Defiance rescuing your second super rescue, I might add. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
maybe
it's
you're making a little
where we're
defining what we do.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Look at that. The visually talented among us, uses props to. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that is going to be, I think, pretty good. Yes?
Sorry, go on with what you're saying.
Well, I was going to close things unless you wanted to.
I was wondering if there were people around who were responding because I kind of wanted to do a presence thingy.
You can. Yes. Just like you did back at the compound, I think. Yeah. Or who somebody did back at the compound. Yes.
Well, what I would like to do is put 42 points for my BPP into my presence to give me 60 presence.
Ooh, hello. Mm-hmm.
And a towering avatar of Horus appears and calls out something like, let's see.
Yeah, after that, it better be good.
It just like glowing light. It calls out to everyone within earshot, like, who are you? What are you doing with your life? Is what you're doing right or wrong? Think carefully on the things you choose, for there will be a judgment if you continue to do evil.
Whoa.
Considering that's sort of the big steroid version of exactly what Finn told the lab guys.
Right.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
And you go right ahead and roll 15 dice.
All right.
For soliloquy and display of power and the base 12.
Okay. Oh, this is what it's all about, guys. Holy balls.
Now, of course, this time you do have to count all the pips. It's not just body. But
yeah. There are
at least it's the champion's veteran in the room who has to do this.
5 6s is 30. 40. 50, 63.
Well, considering that the cell phone broadcast was involved as well.
Holy shit.
You guys just made national news.
Awesome.
If not more.
Woo!
Well, there's flying saucers, aliens, all sorts of things.
This is exactly the kind of thing that finally clicked for me, like last session, that we should be doing.
That's right. And, well, Myrmidon had shown you before, and she was totally controlling things for Myrmidon. Right. So, yeah, she wasn't going to clue you guys in on this, or feed you in on this, because she wanted you guys dependent on Myrmidon's messaging. Or, well, Myrmidon wanted that. What Tina wanted is another question. So, you guys, that's fantastic. You guys can stroll on out of there. There's no attack forthcoming. And it's very clear, like, who the three of you are, in the midst of all this. And so, I will point out that that ever since you broadcast a few minutes ago, out to the student network, your entire support structure has gone into action.
Nice.
So people are already hitting, Reddit and stuff like that, already hitting everywhere, contacting the news, all that stuff. And then when you guys do that, it's primed.
Right.
So, Amanda and Cheryl and the whole pack of everybody who's working on this with all their different contacts just nails it.
Right.
And so the Defiants are now who they are. Yeah. Just any follow-up thoughts that I have. First of all, I know exactly who your big bad is coming up. And the biggest empty plot thread that everybody is very interested in is next up. But at the moment, I'm probably going to call it, because I now have a whole bunch of champions now beta to run, and a bunch of sorcerer to organize in some way. So, all right. I will talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you for everything.